So guys, Senator Dickson has challenged the Senate President Akpabio over their reluctance in electoral reform in Nigeria, indicating that there are plots for them to rig again. So guys, you can be wondering why these senators, none of them is shaking body as regards to electoral reforms in Nigeria. Now, Senator Dickson stood up to Akpabio and dare him, telling him the reality on ground. Take your time and watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now take a look.
Mr. President, first of all, I would like to commend the sponsor who led the lead debate and chairman of the Committee on Electoral Matters, of which I'm a member, for bringing this very important matter for our discussion. And having listened to the lead debate and all the very moving and passionate contributions of all members, with which I totally agree, I just felt I should add a thing or two. There is no doubt, as has been said, that if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, if there is one pressing matter before this 10th Senate, it is the issue of how we sustain and deepen and ring-fence the electoral system. Because if that fails, then we'll only be a democracy in name. We'll only be a democracy in name. And it's a great shame, it's a shame, that election period after election period, we seem to be regressing. I know that in this country, in 2007, President Yar'Adua, right there on the inaugural podium, restated his determination to review the electoral system that brought him into office. After Yar'Adua, 2015, a sitting president who appeared to be losing without even waiting for the final tally to be called, President Jonathan, and by the way, from the great state of Bayelsa too, made that historic call. And I was there in the room with him. The effort was to deepen and elevate Nigeria's democracy. And thereafter, 2019, we didn't see how that improved our system. So in some way, without casting blame or pointing fingers, we appear not to have built on the momentum that has been established, to the extent that, as I said the other day, and I know Mr. President's very patriotic utterance when he said, well, our country has done it before, and you're right. Now, it's as if, I don't want to say smaller countries, but we are the giant of Africa, and we remain so, by history and by design. It is other countries now that are now taking the shine. And I say so painfully, with reference to the last presidential elections in Ghana, where the candidate of the ruling party, Dr. Bawumia, candidate of NPP, vice president to the sitting president, Akufo-Addo, before even the tally was completed, placed a call to current president, John Mahama, and considered and stole the show, as it were, from us, Nigeria. So, Mr. President, if there is one major achievement we must make in this 10th Senate under your leadership, we plead that it should be this issue of electoral reform. In India, where you have over 1 billion people voting, diverse nation, which is a continent of its own, they spend 2-3 weeks doing the elections because of the size. But you hardly hear people go to court, challenging or killing themselves and so on. And they all have the differences too. Ethnic, tribe, religion, and all of that. So, Mr. President, we have an opportunity. I know that we have moved from card reader to beavers. We should authorize INEC to deploy more technology. And we should support them with funding. Secondly, our political parties are the biggest challenge to our democracy. We have to look for a way by which we can introduce some regulation and control on their behavior or undemocratic behavior. And thirdly, and this is quite serious, I'm sure when we assemble in Lagos, tomorrow, Mr. President will be meeting, your committee will be meeting in Lagos to again review some of the proposals that we have been tinkering with for almost a year now. The burden of proof in electoral matters, Mr. President, must shift to INEC. That is where it rightly and properly belongs. We should not subject it to the normal evidential rule that says he who alleges must prove. How can you prove something you don't even know? INEC is an electoral body conducting election. INEC appoints people, a candidate and party has no control over them. INEC does whatever they do, juggle figures and announce. Do cancellations, they explain to no candidate, they explain to no party. And yet the law says, if you challenge it, he who alleges must prove. No. In every other matter, that may very well be the case. That's the common law. But we must make a change in our reviews in the Electoral Act now, requiring that for electoral matters, which are, as we lawyers say, sui generis, they're a particular class of their own, we must shift that burden. The burden of proving that the elections have been conducted peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC. I want us to look at this carefully, and then when we do the clause by clause and at the committee considerations, we can look at it. Mr. President, thank you very much as we unite to give this country an electoral act that will stand the test of time and deepen our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me comment.
What are some of the big areas of reform that are not only being discussed, but appear to be supported by a majority of your fellow senators?
Well, like I was saying, we spent the whole day here in Lagos discussing amongst ourselves, arguing, agreeing and disagreeing, but doing so at all times in the national interest. And I was saying that there's a lot of enthusiasm. Over 50 members of the National Assembly who are members of the joint team were here. And we just rose, from morning till now. And my voice is cracking a little bit because I had the honor of being asked to coordinate and chair the joint retreat. Moderating and so on and so forth. But it was very lively, very engaging, and members were all full of ideas. And we are united across party lines. There are no party divisions here. Across the party lines, we are united in ensuring that we address some of the key areas that will enable INEC, the parties, and all voters and every participant to work together to ensure that the results are better and that elections do not reduce the country or belittle our democracy and our country as they currently have been doing. Killings and then disputes, propaganda about election results. If someone has truly won an election, then that mandate should not be diminished. If somebody has lost an election, that person should know that he or she has truly lost. So we want to see how the electoral system is reorganized. the legal framework is reorganized. Then the oversight mechanisms are strengthened. And more funding provided. And INEC itself being put in a position where it can perform this very sensitive national duty for all of us. You can't talk of a democracy if you can't at least strive to have free and fair elections. And that's what we are debating here.
Absolutely. I have to say, it sounds very, very encouraging listening to you there. But then the very skeptical Nigerians who've been let down repeatedly by their politicians would say that you're probably saying that because you're an opposition politician, and they wonder whether or not your voice resonates with the other people who are not in your party and who are not opposition politicians. But let's not get bogged down in that. Let's kind of break down some of the things, because one of the things that was talked about during that debate, which we saw in the Red Chamber, was the issue of the electronic voting and the electronic transmission of results and so on. And a lot of people seem to think that that has to be the way forward. But then a lot of people who were making comments on your Twitter page when you kind of put out that information, we're wondering what happens in the remote towns and villages that are not hooked up to the national grid and have no internet penetration. How are they going to generate results in real time? There was also talk of calls for local and state collation centers to be scrapped, because allegedly that's where they cancel results if a preferred candidate is losing. I wonder what your assessment of all of that is.
Well, I can give my views as a Nigerian and also as a senator of the. Obviously, what we have been doing here, the discussions at the committee or joint committee levels, do not constitute the view of the National Assembly. No, and I want us to be clear about it. And so I'm not going to speak more about that, about what we have been discussing here and the various themes that we are considering. That will be done when we finish at the committee level.
Yeah, I'm afraid that monster is back. I thought he was just nibbling at our toes. Now he's gobbling our legs and our thighs as well, which is rather depressing, isn't it? But the senator was making a lot of sense there, and it's really a shame that the line isn't holding up. He was talking, I was going to ask him next about the issue of politicians defecting from a party that they used to win an election to another one, because that's obviously a big thing in Nigeria at the moment, where we've seen a horde of politicians just picking up and crossing over to another party and retaining their positions in contravention, many Nigerians believe, of the constitutional provisions. There are calls for this to be stopped, and that if they want to defect, they'd have to resign their positions and recontest under the banner of the new party. I don't know what kind of resonance that is getting in the National Assembly, because of course within their ranks, those pictures we're looking at are quite a lot of people who've defected and who probably would not want to lose their positions. So whether or not they would support something like that, which obviously is what a lot of Nigerians would like to see happen, is another question altogether. So I was going to ask him what sort of reception that is getting in the Senate. There was also talk of regulating the primaries of political parties so that they can be conducted much more transparently. But I would imagine that would be something of a challenge in a country where the political parties appear to be seething with impropriety, all aimed at subverting the law and the will of the people. So that's something I would have quite liked to. Okay, there he is. He appears to be back again. Senator, I'm afraid this is a game of pat ball. Now you're on, now you're off. Now we see you, now we don't see you. But there was, let me just quickly gallop ahead, because we've only got about 5 or 6 minutes left. There's been talk of the issue of politicians defecting from a party to the other, defecting from a party they used to win an election to another one. And of course, we've just seen your governor in Bayelsa State not so much defecting, but resigning from the People's Democratic Party and seeming to be waiting in the wings to move on to another party. Can you hear me at all? Because you seem to be fiddling with your earpiece there. I wonder what you think of that.
Well, I can.
Yeah, let me let you. You understand the question, so just go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you, Charles, about generally the issue of politicians defecting. I made a statement concerning developments in my state, and I don't want to say anything new about that. I believe that as we move on, there may be an occasion for me to make more further statements. Okay, for now, I've made my views on that clearly to indicate that I'm not in support of that, and that's not my direction for now, and I think that is sufficient for now. But all of it, we have spoken generally, and my views about people defecting generally is out there, and that's my view. That's my view. Okay, we may need to rework the laws and the Constitution and prescribe consequences and so on to do it, while at the same time we emphasize greater respect for values and principles, because public service is beyond serving oneself. That will come with time, but maybe we'll have to take another look at the Constitution and the Electoral Act and the other laws. And all these are sentiments that found expression the floor and because of our committee work here. But like I said, a big project here, reform at the committee level. And I'm sure by the time we finish, when it goes to the plenary, and then Nigerians will get to know what we are dealing with. We can only express, individual opinion.
Right. Okay. The line has dropped.
So guys, this is one of the reasons why things are not getting better in this country. Anything that is not going to be to the profit of these politicians, they are not ready to give it any attention. I mean, we all know that we have a Senate that some of them did not even go through the primaries, but guess what? INEC knows how they did it. They were able to, be given the certificate as if they even partook in primaries. They were given privilege to partake in elections to which they were not as in part and parcel during the primaries of those elections. That has got a whole lot of, Nigerians talking about the reality on ground here. Anyway, guys, I don't know what you make of what Dickson. I think he's like the only voice in the wilderness at the moment. He has been the only one daring Akpabio. Every other person has succumbed to the Tinubu's defection plan. Every other person is saying we go to the APC because they believe that with Tinubu it will be easy for them to be shielded in case they rig election. But anyway, guys, let's take a look at some of the reactions. Some of the headlines on the social media. This one says Fayose blasts Tinubu over Showore's arrest. Says Jonathan allowed him to protest. Wow, I really love this. Jonathan allowed you to protest. Hey, this is a very critical oh my God, this is amazing. This Fayose makes a lot of sense. Let me go through some of the reactions from Nigerians. That girl is still in kidnappers' den, but police concern is peaceful protest. I'm telling you, oh my God. Now, this person's official badge is a dictator. David Hundeyin will only grant interviews and start speaking grammar. Nigerian police officers are suffering and smiling indeed. You can't see how hungry most of them look on the road. Respect to the good ones, though. Every oppressor will be ashamed. Tinubu's administration is the worst thing that has ever happened to Nigeria. Good luck, Jonathan gave Nigerians everything democracy demanded. Oh my God. Ona preyed on his kindness. Oh my God, this person. You shall not enjoy. Okay, you all should enjoy your tribal men. You desperately wanted so badly. It's not everybody that wanted that wanted Tinubu. So don't say that. This person said, well, there are different types of protests. One thing you could consider in assessing an intended protest is the intent of the organizer. There is protest with honest and good intent, and there are protests with destructive intent. Showore's protest is an example. NSAS protest is what? The person didn't finish writing it. Tinubu did not only speak freely, but also protested. But now, not once, but on several occasions, he led and joined several groups to protest against Jonathan's administration. Jonathan's administration failure on many areas. A peaceful protest to draw the attention of the unlawful detention of Nnamdi Kanu became a threat. Wow, wow, wow. These are Nigerians speaking. The police under Tinubu are very wicked and heartless. When Jonathan was president, oh my God, when Jonathan was president, he had the most protesters. Everyone came out to protest against his government. Now they don't want us to protest. If they hear you want to protest, you see the police military all over the streets. So guys, this is coming after the Tinubu's government went ahead to arrest Showore. So Nigerians are saying that Jonathan allowed the Tinubu and his group to protest. But under Tinubu, protest is now a forbidden thing. That if you protest, they will see you as an enemy of the state. They will tell you areas to go and areas not to go, just to set traps that can easily catch on you. So guys, a whole lot is happening here. Now the police has come out to reveal that yes, they arrested Showore because he crossed boundary. A drug dealer only knows things about cartelling, not politics. The most active Nigerian citizen who speak truth to corrupt politicians at all times. Okay, he's talking about Fayose Jr. Tinubu is not a Democrat. Temo Fayose, another person here said, shame on the entire Nigerian police for under the directive of Egbetokun. And so a whole lot of reactions here from Nigerians. This is coming after Fayose said Tinubu arresting Showore is wrong because Jonathan allowed him to protest. I think this makes a whole lot of sense, Sha. This makes a whole lot of sense. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification.